From the Champions League, Atalanta against Celtic. We'll hear from Pat Bonner, and our commentary team are James McFadden and Al Lamont.
Many thanks, Richard. Welcome to the Gewiss Stadium, or the Stadio di Bergamo in northern Italy. A Dreich, Glasgow-esque day for the travelling fans to enjoy, with incessant rain showing no sign of easing off. The kick-off upon us. A recently modernised compact little stadium that's holding about
23 Seat Kolasinac,
16 Raul Bellanova,
15 Martin Darão,
13 Ederson dos Santos,
77 Davide Zappacosta,
8 Mario Pasalic,
11 Ademola Lookman,
32
Matteo Retegui,
Champions League paraphernalia is taken off the pitch, and we are just about ready to get underway. It's our first ever meeting of these sides. Indeed, Atalanta have never played Scots opponents. Celtic haven't tended to enjoy coming to Italy. The Europa League win in Rome against Lazio 5 years ago, their sole away victory against an Italian side in 15 games. To change that tonight might rank among their best European results against the Europa League winners. 6th of the starting 11 from the 3-0 win over Bayer Leverkusen start again tonight, and 8 of this starting 11 also started against Shakhtar in the last Champions League game, in which they won by 3-0. The two captains, Callum McGregor and the Dutchman Martin de Roon, are with the Bosnian referee in the centre of the park, tossing the coin, just finalising the formalities. There's a massive cloud of blue and black smoke away to our left, rises from the stand behind that goal. It's incredible to watch. I know that the authorities frown upon this, but sometimes the spectacles are something to behold, as that just billows away into the night sky across their left-hand side. Celtic in their huddle, the blue and black stripes of Atalanta ready to get underway. Black shorts and black socks for the home side, with Celtic, as per usual, in their green and white hoops, white shorts and white socks. And the referee just waits for Celtic to break out of that huddle, and now hands the ball to Arne Engels, who looks like he will be the man to kick us off. Celtic going from right to left as we look at it from our position, as I say, which is more or less in line with Kasper Schmeichel's penalty spot. We hope that we will be craning our necks away to the left for most of this first half, but that might be wishful thinking. We're underway. Arne Engels back to Liam Scales, who launches it down the left-hand side, looking for Dyson Maida to go and challenge for that. He does do, and it breaks back to the way of Rio Hatate. It's a loose pass from him to start off, not the way Celtic would have wanted to start. And here's Matteo Retegui looking up down the right-hand side, tries to get it into the air. It's a poor ball from the Italian international. A let off there from Rio Hatate, Jane, because that was a very loose pass very early on here.
Yeah, it was, and at the start, Celtic knocking it back to Scales, who goes long. We don't often see that. Maida challenging for it, and Celtic win the ball exactly where they want to win it, with Hatate about 30 yards okay in this left-hand side, wide, 30 yards from the Atalanta goal, but that slack pass, and you know, Atalanta are on the attack down the right-hand side. It's an overhit cross, but this is where Celtic have to use the ball. They have to stop the encouragement of Atalanta and giving them easy possession and opportunities to go and counter on them and cause them problems.
The voice of James McFadden alongside me here in Bergamo, as Kasper Schmeichel gets another touch of the ball. He's got the ball at his feet, just waiting for Lookman to come and close him down. Those two actually played under Brendan Rodgers at Leicester City for a spell. Lookman, what a showing he had in the Europa League final, a hat-trick, the first player to ever score a hat-trick in the Europa League final, as they trounced the previously unbeaten German champions Bayer Leverkusen that night in Dublin, to get just their second ever trophy. Celtic looking to just try and close Atalanta down. It was Maida putting some good pressure on. He did momentarily look like he had a bit of joy, but it broke off him and behind for a goal kick. So Atalanta beginning to try and come forward down the left-hand side. Patient stuff from them as it goes back to the goalkeeper, and a short ball out to the captain, De Roon, who then plays it into the midfield for Pasalic, the Croatian who started against Scotland in the recent Nations League game. Atalanta coming forward, left-hand side, infield by Zappacosta. And back to Ederson, who clips it into Retegui. He's inside the penalty, he just tries to lay it back for Zappacosta, who made up some ground, but it breaks the way of Alistair Johnson, right-hand side. He's just nudged to the ground there. It'll be a Celtic free kick, 2.5 played in Bergamo. It's Atalanta 0, Celtic 0.
Yeah, and it's Atalanta take the ball from the back, working it all the way out to the left-hand side, and it's a great bit of movement from Retegui. Just in front of Liam Scales off the back of Austin Trusty, and it's a nice little pass, but already Adam Ida's had so many touches of the ball. Celtic try to find them to build those attacks.
Here's Maida, left-hand side. It's a good challenge, and it breaks off Maida again. He thought he was going to get the corner there, but it is behind for a goal kick. But Baye and Maida linking up pretty well down the left-hand side there, as Celtic do look to exploit some of the spaces that the high Atalanta line tend to leave. The back line do play pretty high up as the goalkeeper Marco Carnesecchi prepares to take this goal kick. It became the first choice in the league midway through last season, although Juan Musso kept his place in the Europa League before departing in the summer on loan to Atletico Madrid. And Carnesecchi now very much the established number one as Belanova takes the throw-in back to the Albanian, who's playing on the right-hand side of that back three, Berat Jimsiti. Now it's over on the left-hand side for Atalanta as they look to try and threaten Kasper Schmeichel's goal for the first time. It's the Brazilian Ederson. Tries the big switch of play out to Belanova, who just nods it back to Jimsiti. He'll be closed down by Maida, and he goes into the middle of the defence where Pasalic has just taken up a very deep position. Actually, we thought he was going to play almost as a 10, but he's playing a bit deeper at the moment, although he's beginning to make his way back up towards the two strikers. Does look like Lookman's more or less playing as a striker alongside Matteo Retegui, who's been a revelation since signing from Genoa in the summer. Here's Jimsiti now feeding it down the right-hand side. It's Martin De Roon. He's beaten to it by Liam Scales as Celtic look to keep Atalanta at bay. Retegui slides in, but he gives it straight to Engels. Engels feeds it forward, looking for Kuhn. Kuhn is eventually just out-muscled more than anything else there by Isak Hien, the Swedish defender. And it's now back in the possession of Ederson on the left-hand side for Atalanta. Decent enough start though, James.
Yeah, I think that, I mentioned briefly there, Adam Ida is certainly, the target as we expected, but they've found him. It's been nice little clip passes into his chest where he can lay off. He's got runners coming either side, and Kuhn and Maida. You've got the support of Engels and Hatate as well. So, no, I think that, it's very early, but it's certainly been, a decent enough start for Celtic. And they have to, like that, great pass from Trusty, just breaking the lines to Baye, who then proceeds to give it away, and they have to use the ball so much better.
Liam Scales having to hold off. Retegui does well to keep that in, actually. Liam Scales gets it back to his goalkeeper. Retegui complaining about something to the assistant referee. He was definitely still in play, and good defending there by the Irishman against the dangerous Matteo Retegui. But Atalanta have it back on the left-hand side. It's Zappacosta trying to get the better of Alistair Johnson. It comes off the Canadian fullback and out for a throw-in over on the far side, about 20 yards from the corner flag as Atalanta come forward down the left. Now it's back with Ederson and then into Isak Hien at the back. Now Atalanta build on the right-hand side, and it's Jimsiti well advanced, finding Belanova right-hand side about 15 yards from the goal line. Little step over trying to fool Maida. Now it's Jimsiti back the way once more to De Roon, and then he'll go back to Hien out to the left-hand side to the former Arsenal man Sead Kolasinac. And Atalanta continuing to build patiently, not rushing things as Lookman picks up and comes in off the left-hand side. Ida's back there as a good ball from Lookman out to the right-hand side. Bellanova's got time and space to measure the cross. Into the box it comes. The header is wayward when it eventually came in from Zappacosta. I think perhaps one of his teammates, possibly Lookman, got in his way there and put him off, but it was definitely an opportunity. Here's Zappacosta picking up again, swings it to the back post. Bellanova gets the header, but it's into the arms of Kasper Schmeichel. First real danger there for Celtic, but it's comfortably dealt with by the Danes. 7 minutes in, Atalanta 0, Celtic 0.
Yeah, it was a good play from Atalanta. The pass just off the back of Maida. I think that he probably needs to be deeper and force that pass to go in front of him. It splits the defence out to Bellanova, and it's a great cross. Adamola Lookman's making the run from deep to go and attack it, and Zappacosta's standing at the back post. It looked to me as if Lookman was going to then go and be the one that attacks it. It gets in the way of Zappacosta, who is a dreadful header. That actually goes backwards, but great chance.
Ida in behind here as the goalkeeper comes out and clears his lines, but Celtic getting a bit of joy. As I say, it is a high back line at times from Atalanta, and a little flick over the top there almost released Ida, but at the other end here comes Zappacosta, left hand side. Alistair Johnston sliding in and picking up an early yellow card. A rash challenge from the Canadian to take Zappacosta out of play just outside the penalty area to the left hand side, and that is not what you want to be doing 8 minutes in, collecting your first yellow card.
Absolutely not. It's a tremendous bit of skill from Lookman. He's run towards the touchline, little back heel into the path of Zappacosta, who beats Johnston for pace, but he looks like he's going to turn back in onto his right foot. Johnston's come steaming in. He's complaining about the yellow card. He can have zero complaints about it. It's a yellow card all day long, and it's a rash decision in a dangerous area for Atalanta to deliver this ball into the box.
Yeah, just a few yards outside the penalty area on the left-hand side of it, about 15 yards from the goal line, and it's going to be Martin de Roon, the Dutchman, who's the Atalanta captain, who is standing poised to deliver this one. 8.5 minutes in, and Celtic looking to fend off the danger here, and they do that through Rio Hatate's clearing header. It's returned by Ederson, into the box it comes, flicked on. Can Retegi get the shot away? Can't initially, as Jim City tried to help it back in, and Celtic do clear the lines over the halfway line. And forward comes Nicholas Kuhn. Good turn of pace there. He's in behind, he's inside the penalty area. Nicholas Kuhn, can he keep his composure? Oh, it's good defending in the end by Ederson to force it behind for a corner. Just for a moment it looked like Nicholas Kuhn might get the shot away, but a corner instead. 9 minutes played. Atalanta 0, Celtic 0.
What a run it is. He just seemed to get faster and faster, Nicholas Kuhn. I think when he gets into the box, Maida made the run to the back post. If he can just shift that onto his right foot, flash it across goal, then Maida potentially's got a tap in. But just showing his pace there, Nicholas Kuhn.
Short corner taken by Engels to Kuhn. Back now to Callum McGregor on the angle of the box, right hand side. Kuhn once more, sends it in on the left foot. Good defensive header to the edge of the box. Kept alive there by Engels and then cleared out the park in the end. And it will be a Celtic throw-in over on the far side. Almost 10 minutes on the clock, and Celtic have had their moments certainly in these early stages. A couple of glimpses in behind the Atalanta defence, and long may that continue. But 0-0 as it stands.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't been, not made too many mistakes. Of course, you can't, get it right every single time, but they certainly look like they're confident executing the game plan from the manager. And it looks like, they're going to try and hit Adam Ida as much as they can. They're going to get support to him. Of course, we know the speed they have on either side. They're going to look to try and exploit that, and they're using the ball a lot better, certainly, than that Dortmund game, and that has to continue for them.
Yeah, Ida just brushed aside there, but McGregor picks up and finds Hatate inside the Atalanta half, just to the right-hand side. Tries to thread it through for Ida, and it was well watched. It had to be. He was intercepted there at the back by Jim City, I think it was, and Ida, just when he thought he might have been in behind once more, the opportunity is gone. Just over 10 played then. 0-0 in Italy, and it's early kick-off in the Champions League. Third game for both these sides. Celtic sitting on 3 points after the opening day win over Slovan Bratislava. Atalanta on 4 after a goalless draw here against Arsenal, and then a 3-0 away victory over Shakhtar Donetsk in the last outing. They're 6th in Serie A, Atalanta, just at the moment, having finished 4th last season. It is very much a kind of golden period for them just these last few years. Definitely the best moments the club have had as Retegi's having his shirt almost taken off his back there by Liam Scales, the referee indicating that he saw it, but with Atalanta still in possession, he allows play to continue. But I imagine he'll keep that in his mind for later on. It's a good ball forward for Ederson. Into the penalty area he comes now. Liam Scales tracking him over to the right hand side. Ederson just plays it off Scales, it appeared to me, but it maybe came back off the Brazilian, and it is a goal kick the Bosnian referee points for. And he's just having a word there with Retegi, who's, I think he's just explaining to him why he let the play continue when his shirt was quite clearly being pulled. It will be a Celtic goal kick. 12 minutes played. Atalanta 0, Celtic 0.
Yeah, Ederson, when he faces Liam Scales up, he goes to do a skill, and he actually just kicks it out of play. It's certainly not what he was intending, but it's the run that he makes. He's playing midfield, he makes that run in between Scales and Trusty, and that's a danger that Celtic have to watch out for.
Maida just almost stepping on the ball there, but he's done well to win it back. Midway inside the Atalanta half, plays it into the centre, but that's knocked away by Ederson, and now picked up by Belanova, but there's a slip there by Retegi, which allows Liam Scales to pick up and advance down the left-hand side into the middle of the park, given away to Ederson. He was trying to find Engels. It was a difficult-looking ball, and it was snapped up there, and now Palacic comes forwards in the midfield, and he finds Belanova and absolutely acres of space. Not sure where Alex Baye actually is. Belanova into the back post, it's over Schmeichel. Trusty gets his head to it, knocks it away. Zappacosta retrieves it, left-hand side of the box, knocks it back the way to Ederson, 25 yards from goal, clips it in looking for Retegi, big chance, knocks it wide, and it's a goal kick. The assistant's flag stays down in terms of a potential offside, so on the face of it that would have stood if Retegi could have directed it beyond Kasper Schmeichel, but he just couldn't stretch and get the shot on target, and it remains Atalanta 0, Celtic 0.
Yeah, probably looked onside. Great little narrow cross to that back post, and earlier you asked where Alex Baye was. Liam Scales had done brilliantly to step into the game, moves up the left hand side, plays a square pass, gets cut out. Baye then has to go and take Retegi, and Scales comes back almost forgetting it, or not realising that Baye had cover for him.
Here's Lookman up towards the edge of the penalty. Retegi, flick for Lookman, straight into the arms again as Schmeichel. Pretty tame effort in the end from Lookman, who was under pressure, but great link up between the front two there.
That's excellent. Lookman coming off that left hand side, as we will see quite a lot of, and the little flick from Retegi to set him up for the shot. But I have to say, enough pressure on him to make sure he didn't get a clean effort.
Yeah, another good challenge just a moment ago as James was speaking to prevent Lookman advancing there by Liam Scales. I think the smoke that was billowing around the stadium was catching both of our throats just at the moment. Another reason why it's got no place in football stadiums. Here's Hien at the back for Atalanta, midway inside his own half, almost a quarter of an hour on the clock, goalless as things stand. Atalanta don't tend to be involved in goalless games, and quite frankly neither does Celtic, so the very fact that we've not had one goal in the opening quarter of an hour is something of a surprise in itself, as Celtic pick up at the back as Trusty plays it short to Engels. Cameron Carter-Vickers still absent at the back with the toe injury that's been plaguing him now for about a month actually, and here's Valle also deputising for the injured Greg Taylor. Scales gets it back to the young Catalan inside his own half, plays a short ball into the middle of the park to Hattati now for Johnston, just inside his own half, out to the right hand side to Kuhn. He's closed down by Zappacosta. Hattati in a decent bit of space here, and he just threads it forward looking for the run of Engels inside the penalty area, checks back, and it was a good challenge. The cross ball comes in and it's flashed across goal there from Hattati and wide of the far post as he was looking at the goal. I'm not sure if he was going for goal or just trying to flash it into an area, but looked dangerous for a moment. It's not far wide.
Yeah, it's not. I think the way that he stepped on it and hit it would suggest he's trying to flick that in or whip it into the far post. It's unlucky, it is pretty close. Seki would let you believe otherwise. It was always going wide, but it's certainly a decent effort. But it was good play from Celtic to work it well from Baye, up from left to right. Then the forward run and pass for Engels finds itself back at Hattati, and he's not far away with that effort.
But 16 minutes in, no goals. Atalanta have it in the middle of the park. It's Ederson who's seen plenty of the ball in these early stages, but it's a poor ball forward from him as he looked for the run there of Palacic, and it's behind for a Celtic goal kick. And yeah, they could be pretty content by the way they've started this game, you would say.
Yeah, I think so. I think, you know, Atalanta have had a couple of opportunities, half chances, which you know is going to happen. Celtic have kept the ball well, they've used the ball well, they've offered a threat themselves. It makes for a very good game, but yeah, they'll be delighted with how they've started this game, but concentration needs to remain so high against a team like Atalanta.
Yeah, every passing minute in which they do keep Atalanta out will, you would hope, breed confidence in the Celtic side, as Lookman picks up, though, about 25 yards from goal, plays a short ball into Retegi, who goes back the way to De Roon and out to the left-hand side now to Zappacosta, who's naturally right-footed, and he cuts in on his right, a good ball, punch from Schmeichel, well clear, picked up there by Kolasinac there, and now it's with De Roon midway inside the Celtic half, out to the left-hand side again to Zappacosta, who again curls one in. That's a good header off the crossbar. Another chance for Pasalic, and it's over the top this time. Oh, that's the closest we've come to a goal, as the Croatian Mario Pasalic got on the end of Zappacosta's cross into the box, and from about 8 yards crashed it off the crossbar and sent the rebound onto the roof of the net. And it does remain Atalanta 0, Celtic 0.
Yeah, they're getting some joy down the right-hand side of Celtic. Zappacosta cutting onto the right foot, putting dangerous crosses in. We saw Ederson make the run from midfield. Pasalic has just done it there. And Liam Scales, because it's an in-swinger, is having to adjust his position, and he's on his heels and running back the way, which allows Pasalic to go and attack it. He's unfortunate to see it come crash off the bar and stay out. But it's a warning for Celtic, because Atalanta getting the ball into these positions, just probably corner 18-yard box, looking for those little narrow crosses, in-swingers, to get the midfielders going attacking it. It's certainly a big threat for them.
Yeah, massively inviting that one from Zappacosta, a couple in quick succession, and Pasalic ruining his luck there as the woodwork denies him. Here come Atalanta again, and it's Jim City for Retegi now out to the right hand side to Bellanova, the Italian wing back on this right hand side, back to Jim City into Retegi, who lays it into the path of Ederson, but he can't keep it, and Tati can advance up towards the halfway line. It's a good ball to his right to Kuhn, who crosses the halfway line and then feeds it forward into the right channel for Ida. He's matched there by Hien, who forces him into the corner and then wins possession. Good strong play. It's not easy to brush Adam Ida off the ball, but the Swede did it pretty easily there in the end, and Atalanta can build once more from the back. We've played 19 minutes, no goals in Bergamo. Celtic have lost all 7 Champions League visits to Italy, looking to end that run. I mean, a point would be an absolutely terrific result tonight, but there's an awful long way to go for them to be able to say they've recorded that and stemmed that run of defeats, as De Roon plays it out to the left-hand side for Zappacosta, who is once again looking to come in onto his right foot. Then he goes back out to the left-hand side, and it's with Zappacosta once more, looking to link there with Lookman. He was fouled right on the edge of the box there by Engels. The referee had a think about that and then pointed to a spot just outside the penalty, at about 19 yards from goal, left of centre, and this is definitely an opportunity. And James just having another look at that incident.
Yeah,
stands on his toe, doesn't he?
Yeah, but it's extremely soft for me. I mean, I thought initially Engels got a touch on the ball. He doesn't, but I'm not so sure how much he actually catches Lookman, if he does at all.
Nonetheless, there's going to be an opportunity here for Atalanta to try and beat Kasper Schmeichel in that Celtic goal. They needed the woodwork to save him just a few moments ago. It's De Roon and Retegi over this free kick, as I say, left of centre, and it's De Roon who stands up to the back post. Good header away from Baye, as far as Bellanova, who's back the way to Ederson, furthest man back, barring his goalkeeper. The Brazilian just moves away there from Maida and finds Bellanova, and in turn passes it to Jim City. Good challenge there from Metatic to knock it out of play on this near side, down in front of Brendan Rodgers' technical area, who's standing right at the edge of that, and as I said, reckon he'll be quite satisfied by the way things are going. Certainly no sign of a deluge of goals as we saw in Dortmund, as Lookman knocks it straight out of play over on the far side. Almost a quarter of the game gone, and we still await the first goal here, James.
Yeah, but you can see, you know, Atalanta are going to continue to put those crosses into the box. And the one, you know, just a minute ago that Baye heads clear, it's just as well he does, because he's outnumbered with Jimsiti and Hien, which, if the ball's a bit better, allows him to go and attack it. They're certainly going to keep putting those crosses into the box. And you look at Retegi and Lookman are playing, as you would think, as two strikers, but they're actually playing off the fullbacks, taking up the positions where they're just inside Alistair Johnson in Lookman's case, they're just inside Alex Baye in Retegi's case, which then allows Scales and Trust can see them, but they then go in the spaces for the midfielders then in between. So it's something they're going to have to, you know, continue to manage, because they're clever players, they know how to create space for their teammates.
Celtic have a corner here on the left-hand side to be taken by Arne Engels, and a chance to perhaps get their own noses in front here. Engels sends it into the 6-yard box. It's Jimsiti who gets to it first, then the goalkeeper comes out and gets a right fist to it before Pasalic knocks it off Hatate over on the far side and buys his side. A throw in deep in their own territory, as Kanaseki claims that he was impeded inside the area, but certainly no harm done in that regard as we move beyond that midway point in the first period. And no goals in Bergamo between Atalanta and Celtic. Atalanta trying to get down the left-hand side, but Celtic have won it back. McGregor was taken out of play there by De Roon, but play allowed to continue as Celtic continue to come forward. And it's Engels playing it to Baye, just at the edge of the box. Checks back inside, about 23 yards from goals. Engels once more, can he find room for the shot? He can, pushed away by the goalkeeper. Unfortunately for him, it falls kindly for Zappacosta, who can bring Atalanta forward, but Engels bringing out a decent save from him. Maybe saw it a little bit late, maybe came through a couple of bodies, and it is another shot on target for Kanaseki to deal with.
It's unlucky from Engels, because you see when he picks up that left-hand side, he wants to shift it onto his right and get his shot away. And Kanaseki, I don't know if he's struggling to see the ball, he'd actually just taken a step to his right, and it was a bit too close for Kanaseki.
Here's Zappacosta, left-hand side, crunch it back. Oh, great save from Kasper Schmeichel to deny Pasalic once more. In all truth, he probably should have buried it. It was straight at Kasper Schmeichel, who nonetheless had to react quickly, and he was able to keep the ball underneath his body, not allow the rebound to come back out into play. And it remains Atalanta nil, Celtic nil, but a big chance for Pasalic there.
Yeah, it is, and it's one where you're expecting him just to, you know, go for a side. He just worries about getting a connection on it, and look, it's straight at Schmeichel, but so often you see it go through goalkeeper's legs. His reactions are great to close his legs and block the shot.
Over on the far side, it's Kolasinac winning it to play it forward there for Lookman. Engels getting back at him. It's a brilliant control from Lookman, just keeping it so close, and no Celtic player can take it off him. Now it's out on the right hand side with Bellanova. Infield now to Ederson, and Bellanova picks up once more midway inside the Celtic half. Still 0-0 then, as Jimsiti gets it back out to Kolasinac, and now De Roon out to the left hand side for the dangerous Zappacosta. His crosses have caused some problems already. It was he again who put it on a plate there for Pasalic just a moment or two ago. This time a low ball along the floor for him, and he just hit it straight at Schmeichel. Here's Retegi now inside the penalty area. Scales very tight to him. Retegi still has it. Maida gets his body in the way, and then Hatate is able to pick up the loose ball. Retegi trying to get back at him, but Hatate holds on to it, plays it forward for Ida, who's just on his heels there, and that allows Hien to step in and feed it forward for Zappacosta down the left hand side, running up towards the edge of the Celtic area. Now it's Lookman picking up back for Zappacosta. Good challenge though by Hatate. No foul as he hits the deck, and Atalanta have it back. It's Bellanova, little step over. Baye keeps his eye on the ball. Back with Ederson. The Atalanta fans looking for the opening goal here. It's Retegi looking to provide it. Cuts it back. It's a good ball. It's over the top though, as Zappacosta came in from the left-hand side into about 16 yards from goal. But on the left foot, he lifts it over the top. And it's with 26 minutes now on the clock. Atalanta nil, Celtic nil.
Yeah, it's another cross into the box, and it's one where when Retegi picks it up, you're expecting him maybe to flash it across, so the defence deepens as you would to try and get down the side of the cross to make sure you're picking up your Lookman and making sure that he's not getting a free hit. But they're always getting a runner from midfield. whether it's Pasalic, who we've seen hit the bar, Zappacosta on this occasion coming in from the left and getting a shot away, and they're all unmarked. So someone's dropping the runner. They have to be so aware of that, because they've worked it well, Atalanta, into these positions. They know exactly what they're doing.
Kien doing well again against Ida there, and Atalanta regain possession, and they come forward through Kolasinac out to the left-hand side to Zappacosta, who's seen plenty of the ball, and again he curls one into the area. Scales gets his head to it, is behind for an Atalanta corner. Gives me an opportunity to go back to the Glasgow studio where Packy Bonner's watching proceedings. What are you making of it so far, Packy?
Yeah, well, they've done well to hang in at this point in the game. They've been in good control. A couple of big chances for Atalanta. They're getting punishing Celtic down Celtic's right-hand side. Kuhn obviously needs to help Johnson. Just from that corner, Johnson there. He's just got to help out, and sort of, because Lockman's coming into that little hole, find the space. Zappacosta's down the left-hand side. Then he's almost have a 2v1 situation there. So Kuhn needs to do a little bit more defensive work to help out Johnson.
OK, Packy, thanks for your thoughts. We'll hear more from you at half-time as Belanova picks up right-hand side. Callum McGregor trying to hold him up back into Pasalic, who sends it back post looking for Zappacosta, who nods it down for Retegui, but Trusty's there to hack it away. Atalanta just maybe just racking up the pressure a little bit. There was a slightly loose ball which falls kindly for Celtic in the middle of the park, but Hatate can't find Engels out on that right hand side, and it will be an Atalanta throw-in. But so far so good for Celtic out in the north of Italy, in the Lombardy region, a very pretty city. Notably the Città Alta, which we've ventured into as Belanova ventures into Celtic territory on the right hand side of the penalty area. Gets the cross in, but it's straight into the gloves and the midriff of Kasper Schmeichel, who's had a couple of shots to deal with, but nothing too dangerous. The one that came off the crossbar was probably the more troubling one, but it did end up safely enough for Celtic, and that's why after almost 29 minutes it's goalless, and Callum McGregor drives Celtic forward over the halfway line. The skipper comes. Now it's Baye just inside the Atalanta half. Is it short for McGregor once more? Celtic dropping points for the first time in domestic football at the weekend. Aberdeen also in a hugely enjoyable contest. This is a different game altogether. A little bit more cat and mouse as Baye picks up again the central area, coming across to the right hand side. Now it's Engels, further to the right to Kuhn, midway inside the Atalanta half. Celtic enjoying a little bit of possession here as Baye picks up in a pretty unusual position for a left back, but we've grown to understand that the full back role has changed beyond all recognition in the last few years, and not least here at Celtic, particularly under Ange Postecoglou, but it's continued that inverted role under Brendan Rodgers. And there's Ida linking with McGregor, just lays it into the path of Hatate, and Baye once more coming forward, about 15 yards now inside the Atalanta half. Again it's infield to Callum McGregor. Celtic will be enjoying this a few passes to be able to stick together. Look, it might have been a foul there on Hatate, but actually the referee's bringing it back, and I think he's awarded the free kick against Hatate for the challenge there on Ederson, and it will be a free kick the way of Atalanta, midway inside their own half. We've played just over the half hour, and it's Atalanta 0, Celtic 0.
Yeah, he's not complaining about it, Hatate. It's the first time ball from Maida, and he's in the right position. I think he just falls. It's, you know, an aggressive defending as we're so used to seeing from Atalanta, and how they want to go, and, you know, it's a full press. There's no half measures with them, and Hatate's just off balance slightly. I'm not so sure it was a foul, more of a coming together, but there's no complaints from Hatate.
Atalanta have it at the back, and trying to come forward now down the left hand side. Kolasinac just back into De Roon, who was playing as an auxiliary centre-back because of the defensive crisis. Atalanta have had Kolasinac returning from illness for this one as Lookman tries to burrow his way through a couple of challenges, and out comes Schmeichel to smother at his feet. He looks oh so dangerous when he picks up these little pockets of space just outside the box. Him and Retegui, you've mentioned already, James, but they are a threat whenever they pick up possession there.
Yeah, they are. Retegi's the one that more wants to play on the shoulder and pick up positions for the cross that gets flashed across. Lookman will pick up those little positions for, you know, the cutbacks like he did there. Just clever players. Look where they're starting the game. You know, Retegi's making his way out to Baye just so he's in front of him, to make Liam Scales potentially think that Baye has him, and just always been able to see Scales' number. And Lookman's doing it on the other side with Johnston and Trusty. And then the space, the overload is of course the wing back on the other side with these little narrow crosses.
Here's Deron advancing towards the edge of the penalty area, finds Pasalic in a bit of room, and Maida does a good job to get back in, but still Celtic haven't cleared the danger. It's Belanova nudging it back for Ederson just at the edge of the area. Now it's Jim City, right hand side of the box in a very advanced area. Ederson looks into the box and then goes back out to Jim City, who curls the cross into the penalty spot. Trusty with a good header away, and Hatate will pick up and try and start the Celtic counter, and Maida's racing through. Hien goes back there. He's very, very impressive, I have to say, this Swedish centre back, and he showed good pace there, because Maida is certainly no slouch, as we know, but he got back in front of him and actually wins a free kick from the Japanese, who just maybe clipped his heels as he went back. But it's still Atalanta 0, Celtic 0. You listen to Sports Sound with us not only on BBC Radio Scotland, but on 5 Sports Extra and Champions League final score on the BBC iPlayer as well. Goalless as things stand with 33 minutes on the clock. Atalanta have it right hand side, fed forward into the feet of Retegi, the Italian international, Argentine born but naturalised Italian. Here's Lookman at the edge of the box, his striking partner curls it in there. Pasalic, he just couldn't quite rise high enough, comes all the way through to Belanova, right hand side of the box. You can just play this back for Jim City, but he curls it in instead. Ederson was going to meet that, but Trusty got there ahead of him. Atalanta cranking the pressure up, but then Johnston does well, picks up possession on the edge of the box, draws the foul there from Deron, and it will be a Celtic free kick just outside their own penalty area. 33.5 played. Atalanta 0, Celtic 0.
Yeah, you have to say that, you know, they've been put under a lot of pressure, Celtic, from cross balls, and you know, at times they've struggled, but for the most part I think they've defended it very well, because you've got Trusty and Scales that are getting overloaded with Lookman, Retegi, Ederson that's then going in and joining in. Pasalic is joining in as well, and it is tough for them, but they've managed to deal with it pretty well so far.
Ida linking well with Hatate, who comes forward into the feet then of Kuhn, who just couldn't quite keep a hold of it, and it's knocked back to Karnaseki, the Atalanta goalkeeper. He goes long, but McGregor's there before Pasalic, and it's out now on the right hand side with Arne Engels, who looks like he's probably got too much on that cross. Indeed, Maida won't get there, but it's there in play. Can't quite see as a camera man in this slightly strange commentary position, who's just blocking that corner of the pitch from our view, but it is out for a throw-in on this near side to Atalanta, to be taken by Raul Belanova, who's started every game except for Arsenal since signing in the summer from Torino. 20 million euros for the wing back. Brendan Rodgers talked about the difference in ability, spending power and so on, and it's true enough, as here comes Zappacosta on the other side. Lookman goes on the overlap, but he's used as a dummy, and Lookman asks why, because Zappacosta then couldn't find the pass for a teammate, and Kasper Schmeichel able to clear out to, that is Maida. Now Baye, left hand side, he's given it away to Belanova on the halfway line into his fellow wing back Zappacosta, out to the left hand side. 35.5 on the clock, still no goals. Deron, and now Lookman back to Deron, midway inside the Celtic half. The left hand side is Kolasinac into the penalty area. It comes away by Trusty, high up in the air. Adamida's back in a deep area, he can't keep a hold of it. Deron plays it to the right hand side now for Jim City, who will come forward up towards the edge of the penalty area. Out to the right hand side now to Belanova, closed down by Alex Baye, forced back the way by the left back, and then Ederson plays it into Hien. Every Atalanta player well inside the Celtic half, barring the goalkeeper. Out to the left it goes to Zappacosta. Again, just drops the shoulder as if he's going to come in on the right. Gets the 1-2 with Kolasinac. Now it's Zappacosta, curls it in. There's the header again from Palasic. Again, he can't quite keep it down, and it drifts wide and high of the target. And it does remain, after 36.5 minutes, Atalanta 0, Celtic 0. But those crosses from Zappacosta and the late runs from Palasic are causing Celtic an issue.
Yeah, they are, and Ederson's right beside them as well. And you know, it's Trusty or Scales that are having to defend these situations more often than not. And Celtic's midfield are outside the box when it's the Atalanta midfielders that are going attacking the cross. Can you stop the run? Can you get a block on before they actually make it? Or just match a run, because eventually they will get the reward for it.
Bellanova up against Valle, just steps away from him, curls it in on the left foot. Good defensive header by Trusty. Out of the box it goes. De Roon tries to nod it down, gets the break of the ball there, and it's back with Hien. And out to Jim City, right hand side, midway inside the Celtic half. Bellanova is further advanced. He plays it into the box. Scales attacks this one and gets it clear. Hatate can't reach it. He's then gets a second bite at it and gets it to McGregor, who tries to find angles in a dangerous area. Breaks for Zappacosta, who fires over the top. But it does feel like this pressure from Atalanta is mounting. There's only so long you feel that Celtic will be able to hold out against this increasing pressure, but they have done so in the opening almost 38 minutes, still goalless.
Yeah, I mean, they've had a lot of opportunities to put crosses into the box, and you know, sometimes it's been great quality, other times not amazing, but ones where Trusty and Scales can go and defend. But they can't continue to encourage this, because eventually they'll get the rewards, as I said, whether it's, you know, Scales and Trusty being in the right position, but the midfielder then makes a run and finds the space. They have to make sure either they're stopping the cross or stopping the runs and trying to limit these opportunities for Atalanta.
Zappacosta once more on the left-hand side. He's got a 2-on-1 here against Johnston, and that allows him to find room to swing the cross to the back post. Bellanova nods it down. McGregor away from more or less the penalty spot. Jim City trying to keep the pressure on here. Gets it back from Ederson. He is going back the way this time to Hien, just at the edge of the centre circle. He plays it to the left for De Roon, who's always available for a pass in the midfield. Now it's Zappacosta yet again, linking there with the Kolasinac, who plays a clever ball into Lookman. He just tries to step away from Trusty, but Celtic have got it out of the penalty area once more, but not too far. And it's Ederson on the left-hand side. Plays it off a Celtic player, and it comes back to Zappacosta, who'll feed it in. Jim City's made a run, and it's a good save from Kasper Schmeichel. Didn't quite get the purchase he was looking for in the header, the big centre-back, as he made a really good run. He just tried to glance it away to the far post, but Schmeichel had read it, and he gathers it, and it's still Atalanta 0, Celtic 0.
Yeah, and he's obviously playing right centre-back. He's made that run towards the back post area, across the face, to go and get something on it. And Alex Bailly, just before he gets it into the box, just gives him a little nudge, which is enough to put him off. Having said that, it's almost outstanding from Jim City, the way that he heads it. He knows he's going in and got under it, and he's trying to just glance it with the back of his head. It's a tame effort in the end, but I don't mind the invention at all. But Alex Bailly getting a little touch on him to put him off, just enough.
Hatate's lost it, and Retegi's got the better of him. A little tug of the jersey there as Retegi sends it into the box. Again, it's a good defensive header from Trusty, who's been having a good game at the back so far. He and Scales having to stay on their toes to deal with Retegi and Lookman, as Adam Ida finds himself in the left back position and plays it back to Kasper Schmeichel. 5 minutes from the interval, no goals in Bergamo between Atalanta and Celtic, as the Scottish champions look to build. And there's a lovely little flick from Hatate to McGregor, who drives up to the halfway line and finds Bailly left-hand side, back in field to McGregor, who'll be enjoying himself a whole lot more out there than he was a couple of weeks back in Dortmund around this time. McGregor has it inside the centre circle, looking for options, and one of them is Maida on the left-hand side. He plays it into Bailly and goes again, and it's looking to get away from Pasalic on the left-hand side. Fires in, it's a good ball, and Karnaseki gets enough on it, doesn't gather it in, but fortunately for him, it's an Atalanta player who was first to it. And the good play from Celtic is almost rewarded. Maida with the ball in was dangerous and caused a problem for Karnaseki. And Atalanta looking to build again down the left-hand side. They will be keen to get the opening goal before the interval. They're certainly been the dominant side, but Celtic have had glimpses of their goal as well, as Zappacosta picks it up and goes back to Ederson, midway inside the Celtic half. Now it's Kolasinac. back to Ederson, but 35 yards from goal. Left-hand side is Zappacosta up against Johnston, looking to get it onto the right foot. Johnston's trying to show him onto his left. Back the way it goes to Kolasinac, midway inside the Celtic half. Now Ederson out to Zappacosta once more, and back to Kolasinac against the patient build-up, going back the way to change the angle, and now out to the right-hand side for Jim City. Shows Bellanova where he wants him to go. He does make the run, the wing back, and then just knocks it out of play under good pressure from Baye. Italian felt he was being fouled, but the assistant referee had a good view of it and said no, it's a throw into Celtic. And so with just 3 minutes left of the opening period, it's still goalless.
Good aggressive defending from Baye there, but it's not a foul. It's tight, stopping Bellanova from turning. And just before that, the play from Celtic from the start, Hatate with a little flick into McGregor, driving forward, and it's almost a wonderful cross from Maida. He did made that run, goalkeeper comes out, gets something on it. But that's the difficulty then when you're playing not on the break, but you're not committing as many bodies forward. That it has to then be perfect. It has to fall at the feet of Adamida, because the supporting run isn't coming. They go and pick up.
Trusty doing really well against Lookman there. Johnston has knocked it behind for a corner. He was trying to get it back to Trusty, but his angle's wrong, and it will be an Atalanta corner over on the far side, which is the Atalanta left as they attack, and it will be Lookman to take it from the left-hand side as the Italians begin to pour bodies into the Celtic box, looking for a breakthrough before the half-time whistle sounds. A run there made by Jim City as Lookman curls it in, and it's headed away by Johnston, who'd conceded the corner, making amends as Hatate though can't win it ahead of Lookman, who picks up left-hand side. Knocks it back to Kolasinac, who then feeds it into the area. It's Scales who gets a glancing header on it, comes out to Bellanova on the right-hand side. Quick ball back to Derone, sends in, Trusty gets a glancing header, comes to Lookman. Oh, great challenge by Alistair Johnston to send it behind for a corner again. Lookman, his eyes lit up at the back post, but Johnston was quickly onto him, and to knock it behind, a really vital challenge there. 0-0.
Yeah, it was. Trusty gets the flick on, as you would expect, because he's having to defend the situation. It goes into the path of Lookman, and Johnston is onto it in a flash, gets the block in. Lookman's rolling about, but he's actually kicked Johnston's leg in the clearance. Great defending. Lookman will hobble over there to the far side to take the corner after that strong challenge from Johnston, but completely fair. And Lookman will deliver this one right-footed from that left-hand side once more into the near post area. It's Gladys, brilliant save from Schmeichel. Header comes back out. Can Atalanta for this one? Oh no, Engels is there to clear. Not sure who got that initial header in, but Schmeichel's reactions were absolutely brilliant. They had to be to push that one away, and it's still Atalanta 0, Celtic 0. Yeah, it's a great save, reaction save. Again, it's straight at him, but you still have to make the save. Great header, time of the run, their delivery's excellent. Their aggression to go and win the headers is excellent. And Kasper Schmeichel coming up with excellent reflexes there to keep that out the back of the net. I think it was Pasalic that got the initial header again. I thought it was actually Rotegi, but we'll yet to see a replay that absolutely clarifies that. But nonetheless, regardless of the header, it was a terrific save from Schmeichel. It's still 0-0 into the final few seconds of the 45 plus added on time to come as Zappacosta sends it in, and Trusty again gets his head to it. The referee says no added on time actually, and so despite 61% possession in that first half and dominating the attacking play, Atalanta haven't been able to find a way past Kasper Schmeichel, who had to save the best for last there to deny Retegi in the dying moments of that first period. He also required the frame of the goal to save him when Pasalic got an earlier header in, almost on target but just too high as far as he was concerned. Celtic have been dangerous at times themselves without overly stretching Marco Carnesecchi in the Atalanta goal, and Atalanta have been the dominant side in this first period, but it's been a much improved, far more disciplined performance by Celtic away from home in Europe against a top team. And so at half-time in the Stadio di Bergamo, it is Atalanta 0, Celtic 0.
Celtic in the Champions League.
Live on Sports Sound from BBC Radio Scotland.
Celtic score!
Join me, Len Penny, for a brand new show, The Arts Mix.
6 books?
Yeah.
What keeps drawing you back in?
Honestly, it's the characters.
It's your front row seat to what's happening in arts, culture and events across Scotland.
How special was that to see your mum's story?
She came along to the opening night and had a big cry.
Covering theatre, film, books, music, podcasts, the lot.
Did songwriting come easy? Were you just a prodigy?
I was gifted a beautiful piano from my grandparents.
The Arts Mix with Len Penny. Monday to Thursday from 3:30 on BBC Radio Scotland and Sounds.
You're listening to Sports Sound with me, Richard Gordon. Just one other early kick-off in the Champions League this evening. Into first half stoppage time, it remains Brest 1, Bayer Leverkusen 1. But we are far more interested in what is happening in Bergamo, where it is Atalanta 0, Celtic 0. They've had to ride their luck on occasions. They've certainly had to defend solidly, heroically perhaps at times, Pat Bonner, but my goodness, that's a much improved first 45 minutes from Celtic's last first half showing in this tournament.
Yeah, much more encouraging, isn't it? You know, obviously the scoreline, it's all about the scoreline. When it's 0-0, you feel that you might get a big chance in that second half and sneak it, and that's the way it really should pan out. And when you're away from home in Europe, you've got to defend that box, and listen, they were very good down, especially down in the wide areas. I thought the Celtic might have dominated the wide areas a wee bit more, but they actually, the way that they're set up is really good, and they've, especially down that left hand side, Zappacosta really starting out wide, Lookman coming on the sort of inside into that little hole behind Ingles. Johnson doesn't know whether will I stay inside. He has to stay inside probably, and then go to Zappacosta, but he's got all the freedom then to check back onto his right foot and put in some great crosses. But that's the job of Trusty and Scales, to defend that middle of the box in between the posts, and they've done it very, very well. Palisic, he's got himself into great position, and he's got the freedom to go from midfield because they've got control of the ball, especially in that last half hour. They've got control of the game, so he can make his runs in there. And James was talking about picking him up. Yeah, absolutely. Somebody needs to deal with him. They either block him or they track him. But when it comes in there, you've got to have your centre halves going and trying to win the ball. I just worry a wee bit at the sort of back post at times. They're getting, I can see it here on the box, just they're kind of outnumbered at the back post at the time, but everything's had in almost in round about the penalty spot to allow maybe the centre halves to get ahead on it. If they just overhit it a little bit more to the back post, you've got danger written all over it, especially because Celtic's, especially the full back on the left hand side he's not the tallest, is he? And I could see something happening there, and they might tweak that a little bit from those crosses at half time and talk about it, and that could expose Celtic. But at the moment, it's a really good situation they're in, because I think they've got enough probably also to maybe try and sneak something.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. certainly hope that that's the case, but it's clearly going to be a demanding second 45 minutes, you'd imagine. Retegi, Lookman have both been involved. They've both caused issues, but as you identified there, the main threats have been Zappacosta down that left. And fair play to Alistair Johnson, because he got that booking in just the 8th minute, and he's managed to kind of maintain his discipline, his composure out there. But Zappacosta is causing all sorts of issues, isn't he? And Pasalic just seems to be getting on the end of virtually everything that comes into the box or the edge of the box. Yeah, he's almost starting from the edge of the box. He doesn't have to go too far to make his runs from deep midfield. He's almost on the edge, and he just gets that sort of 5-yard, 6-yard run in around about a penalty spot, and suddenly then he becomes a real threat. And it's difficult because the centre halves are fairly static, and he's got a run on them, so you've got to really be strong and match him from that perspective. So yeah, but Zappacosta, he's the one. He's putting in some great crosses too with his right foot. They're bending in, difficult. The goalkeeper can't come for them, and that then takes the goalkeeper out of it. He just got to defend his goal and try and hopefully come up with a big save, which he's done on a number of occasions. They got away with it, one off the crossbar. I think that Schmeichel was beaten on that one. But listen, you take the luck. You've got to take the luck, and from that perspective, I don't know what Brendan would do down that right hand side. Does he have an opportunity maybe to
Kuhn is, listen, he's a threat. We've seen with his pace that he is a threat going forward. But he and Johnson and probably Ingles needs to just communicate a wee bit better at times, and who goes to the man on the ball, that's the key. And what do? Do you push him down the outside, or do you let him come in on his inside and then put those crosses in? I would be pushing him down the line.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the Celtic bench. I mean, in terms of offering perhaps more backup to Johnson than that Celtic right, I mean, there aren't really defensive options on the bench that are likely to improve that. So it may be that he just simply sticks with Kuhn, because as we saw very early on, and he probably should have done better, shouldn't he? Got away from the defender, got in behind, and then he just kind of almost ran into no man's land. But at least it was some early encouragement. There was the Engels shot as well, which was curling in towards the far post. The keeper dived and pushed that away. And it hasn't happened very often, but Celtic have at least got up the park. They've
absolutely.
Atalanta had to defend at times.
Yeah, and it's enough to show that if they do get into good positions, they can create something. You know, it's enough. They just need to be a little bit more careful on their passing at times. They got into some very good position, and then they give the ball away cheaply when you would expect that ball to be played through for a runner or something, and it was cut out. Those little details, I think they'll be speaking about at half-time, because you're almost playing on a counter-attacking system here today. And that's what you've got to do in this. Keep your defensive structure, get a little bit of luck, make sure you don't go behind, and then try to sneak something. And that's how you won these games.
What was also very encouraging, Pat, I mean, there were those opportunities for Celtic, but actually Atalanta were causing a lot of issues first 25 minutes or so. That was then about a 20-minute spell, but actually Celtic were pretty well containing them. They weren't having to defend just as desperately as they were at times. It was just really in that last minute of the half where Johnson, it was a superb challenge, wasn't it, by Johnson to stop Lookman, and then a wonderful save from Schmeichel from the Rettigi's flashing header. And you're going to have to counter, I suppose, moments like that. You know they're going to come. Yeah. So you just simply have to try to deal with them the best you can, don't you?
Yeah, they were dealing well with the space in between the lines. I think early on, I wrote down the header off the crossbars around about the 18 minutes, but it was from a cross from wide, you know, from Zappacosta. Suddenly, then in the 23rd minute, Lookman got himself into that little space, and that's when then they became really dangerous. And then they sort of can almost up the game after that. Atalanta. Celtic did have a wee period where they had decent possession. They had enough possession in the opposing half to try to create something, and that was about a 10-minute period in that second half. Most of it, though, has been trying to defend their own box.
We knew, James, that they were going to have to defend their own box. They have done it more convincingly, haven't they, this time rather than the game against Dortmund?
Yeah, they have. I think that, you know, because of the invention of Retegi and Lookman, their positional play is excellent, so they're affecting the full back four at all times because of how they're playing off of the full-backs in the space between full-back and centre-back. And then, you know, the chances of falling to midfielders that are making the late run into the box. Can they, as Packy says, force it down the line and maybe defend from a different position? Zappacosta, we know his delivery's been excellent when he's cut inside, but also can the midfielders get in touch and either get a block on and stop the runs or put more into, you know, putting them off those runs, because the timing of the runs has been excellent and they're going to continue to make those runs. But Trusty and Scales, when it's come in, they've got themselves in the right position. They've not been too bogged down with picking up the amount of men that's round them, because it's impossible. There's so many in that box when it comes in. They've got themselves in good positions, they've got the first contact, and they have defended it well. But the worry would be that continues in the second half, and eventually, you know, the one that comes off the bar is a bit lucky, but
yeah,
eventually that luck will run out. You can't rely on that all the time. But I have to say, when the balls come in, Scales and Trusty have been excellent at defending them.
Yeah, the first 10 minutes of the second half will be critical. There's no doubt at half-time, I think all teams do it now, they'll have picked out instances, they'll have picked out the tactical situations on the analysis that they do. They'll show it to the players, they'll talk to them, and I would say Atalanta will be probably now coming up with maybe something slightly different to try to get that elusive goal. And this is 10 minutes just to get the game settled down again and just get back into your rhythm.
Just looking at some of the stats there, Atalanta 61% possession. That's not really a major surprise.
No.
You would have to say 13 attempts, 5 on target. The passes, just over 300 for Atalanta, and actually around 200 for Celtic. And the Celtic players certainly working hard, Pat. They've covered 58.4 kilometres in the opening 45 minutes, which is about 3 more than the Atalanta players. And that's inevitable, isn't it? If you're defending, you're going to be covering more distance.
You don't have the ball, you've got to work, you've got to keep your concentration, all of those things. You've got to, if somebody steps out of position and he gets done, somebody else has got to slot in very, very quickly. All of those things matter really, really well when you're defending. And that's hard work, and that you have to cover ground on a night like this. I'm not surprised at those stats, to be perfectly honest, but you're away from home, you're in Europe, you're not going to dominate the game or dominate possession as much as you would probably at home, but there's plenty of teams have won games with a with a lot less possession, put it that way, in games, and just and structured,
Look, it's a long way to go, and they're still going to have to ride out the next 45 minutes. But if they can possibly come out, I mean, I said beforehand, there's no way this is going to be 0-0. Maybe going to be wrong, and you would certainly, as from a Celtic point of view, you'd sign up for 0-0 right now, wouldn't you?
Definitely, absolutely. And I think going into this game there was apprehension, really. I think among most of the Celtic fans thinking, well, are we going to get another bit of a hiding against a top team? I think they've done well in the first half. They've got a wee bit of luck, as you need, but in the main, I think they're better structure. There was a better structure, and if they weren't getting done too much through the middle, it was mostly down the wide areas. Fix that, and then of course, if you fix it, you make it down the middle, the usual thing. But fix that a little bit, and I think they've a chance to maybe sneak something.
Well, that's the hope, isn't it? Albeit still going to be very demanding indeed. I suppose he maybe waits to see how the opening exchanges go in the second half, but you don't want to get too greedy, do you, Pat? And begin to just maybe push a little bit more than you have been.
No, keep it nice and tight. Just have a good look. The players need to also come out with a mindset, a clear mindset that they know that Atalanta might change something. So let's see what that is very, very quickly in this first half. Don't get done with something early on and then you have to go and chase the game and you have to open up and it becomes really, really difficult. The one thing that Celtic don't have, and Callum McGregor is a really good player and he'll get on the ball, as we can see. Normally, if you've got a centre midfielder who's big and strong, he can almost track himself in a defensive role for those crosses, almost and to help the centre halves. Celtic don't have that, so the two centre halves are exposed a little and they have to do it on their own, and they're outnumbered. Maybe 2-3 players arriving in the box at times, and they have to deal with it. That's the only issue the Celtic have, and the way that Atalanta is set up and the way they're playing.
So far, so good for Celtic. They are in Bergamo to take on Atalanta. Matchday 3 of the Champions League, 0-0 at half-time. We will have a double bill of European action for you tomorrow. Sports Sound on at 5 o'clock, so join the guys for that. They'll take you through to the 5:45 kick-off at Tynecastle. Conference League, Heart of Midlothian against Omonia Nicosia. And then it'll be on to the Europa League as Rangers take on FCSB at Ibrox, an 8 o'clock start in that one. So full coverage across those two matches tomorrow. Friday night, big one for the Scottish women's national team, of course, the first leg of the European Championship playoff away to Hungary. That's live on Sports Sound and on BBC Alapa. It's a 5:15 kickoff. And then on Sports Scene a little bit later on the BBC Scotland channel, they're continuing their coverage of the Scottish Cup. It's the second round, of course, this weekend. 3 for Rovers against Stranraer, live on Sports Scene on the BBC Scotland channel. So still plenty, and then of course we'll just kick off and bring you comprehensive coverage of the weekend that lies ahead. Some big matches across the country, all covered with us here on Sports. We're just waiting the re-emergence of the teams there in Bergamo. The home side, Atalanta, on top for the most part, as you would anticipate. but pleasingly from a Celtic point of view, especially when you consider what happened in Germany last time out. It is goalless, and Celtic still very much in contention in this match. And we talked beforehand, Pat, about belief. It was Callum McGregor who talked a lot about belief, having that inner confidence, if you like. It's got to grow, hasn't it, if you've come through 45 minutes out there and maintained this scoreline?
Yeah, there should be plenty of belief in the team now that they've survived that first half and they're in the game. Absolutely. But I want to reiterate again, you go in at half time, you sit down, you take a big breath, and you've got over the first half, but you've now got to be really switched on when you come out at the start of the second half and get back into the flow of the game again very, very quickly.
Players are back out. Pat Bonner will continue to give us his thoughts as we hand you over to our commentary team in Bergamo. It is Atalanta against Celtic live on Sportsound at BBC Radio Scotland and on 5 Live Sports Extra. It's James McFadden, Lamont.
Thanks again, Rich. Yeah, Celtic just returning to the pitch.
29, Marco Carnesecchi.
Is way down to our
left
hand side, away at the opposite corner from which you look upon the pitch.
Hira, Isakira.
Coming out of that tunnel right now. Atalanta
23, Sead Kolasinac.
Second period, no changes for the Italians.
16, Raul Bellanova.
It's the same 11 that come out again for the second half.
15,
Celtic as well,
Martin
neither
Darrow.
manager thinking about a change just yet.
13, Ederson dos Santos.
77, Davide Zappacosta.
8, Mario Pasalic.
11, Admollo.
32, Matteo Retegui.
Certainly easier fixtures to come from the home games in which they will be absolutely looking to take maximum points from, to boost their hopes of being involved in the latter stages of the competition. But that's for another day, as we're back underway, and Martin de Roon of Atalanta, the captain, plays it forward for Kolasinac. It's out of play though from Lookman, who was trying to find Zappacosta, who had a very influential first period, but happily none of his crosses ended up providing the opening goal. Lookman wins it back by using his hand, and the referee spotted it, and it will be an early free kick for Celtic midway inside their own half. James, what do you imagine Brendan Rodgers would have been saying in that dressing room? Is it simply a case of more of the same, or can he be more adventurous?
Yeah, I think he'll say, first of all, well done, because I think they've defended their box in particular very well when the balls come in. I think you look at the start of the game when they were finding Adam Ida a more direct pass into his chest, and then you were getting runners off. Kuhn obviously making that run in behind, Maida's getting behind. I think it's obviously you need to switch on and make sure that you're solid defensively, but can they get the ball up to Adam Ida a little bit quicker? Can you get support around them and try and force Atalanta back? Because as the half went on, they got further forward, and Celtic get further back and had to defend more and more crosses. So try and just get a little bit more control of the ball and use it a little bit better. Not that they've been poor on it, but try and get it up and around Ida.
Jim City, the right centre back, is currently playing at right wing, and he did that for a fair amount of the first half as well. Both he and Kolasinac, who's playing in the left centre back role, are getting forward an awful lot, leaving Hien as more or less the only defender at times, but he's coped well with that situation as well. But it's out on the left with Zappacosta just at the moment for Atalanta. He gets it back from De Roon and then pokes it into the middle of the park from Pasalic, who's been as dangerous as anyone for Atalanta. He swivels, spins and plays it back out to the left to Zappacosta, the former Italian international. And now it's De Roon back out to Zappacosta. De Roon once more, midway inside the Celtic half, tries to thread a pass through. There was no gap for that. Breaks back to him and he finds Hien. And now it's Ederson, the Brazilian midfielder, out to the right-hand side, where both Jim City and Bellanova are. Bellanova trying to take on Baye. Baye sticks out the left boot and knocks it out of play for a throw-in over on the far side. A couple of minutes of this second half played, still no goals, as Celtic find themselves deep in their own territory, including Aramida, the striker, well back inside. Oh, that's a good ball for Lookman into the left-hand side of the penalty. Cross goal that come, brilliant clearance from Liam Scales, because Retegi was lurking at the back post, and had Scales not dealt with that, it was a certain goal. But again, not for the first time, Liam Scales steps up with a big moment for Celtic at the back. Still Atalanta coming. It's Lookman again, left-hand side, almost creating the opening goal there, and again he sends a dangerous ball in, and again it's Pasalic who gets on the end of it, but the glancing header's well off target, and it's still Atalanta 0, Celtic 0.
And that's a big opportunity for Pasalic, because he gets in there, he's unmarked, in between Scales and Trusty, can't get enough on the header. And the one before it, Lookman again picking up that position. Trusty tries to pass him on to Engels, who's in around the edge of the box. Neither of them do it, and you're spot on when it comes in. Liam Scales defending, absolutely outstanding. Not only that, to stop the chance, but to get a clearance as well with the right foot is brilliant.
Yeah, I was going to say it was on his right foot, which makes it slightly more awkward for him, but he dealt with it brilliantly. Here's Baye at the other end. Deflection of the shot just over the top. It will be a corner, but Baye trying his luck from 25 yards. He just took a little nick off the Atalanta player who was trying to close him down. Looped over the goalkeeper, but fortunately for him, also looped over the crossbar. Celtic come in close, they have the corner.
Yeah, it's an important moment as well.
What's a fingertip save, actually?
Yeah, I didn't see that live. It looked like it had gone over him. Pasalic with a chance a minute ago. Celtic managing to hit back. Baye picking up a good position just inside channel, almost out of a midfielder. Gets a deflection. Karnaseki at full stretch to tip it over.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was going to dip under the crossbar if not for that fingertip touch, but certainly an important save as Engels now swings it in towards the back post. Ida's stretching, trying to reach it and direct it back on target, but it was a difficult looking one to take, and he can't get it anywhere near the target. It's a goal kick which is quickly taken over the halfway line, but Hatate had read it and he chased it down, and Celtic players almost leaving that to one another, but McGregor reacts quickly enough to poke it to Scales and then get it back. The Celtic captain on the halfway line. Scales in for Hatate on the centre spot, more or less, back to Trusty. Celtic's defending has been excellent for the most part, and it has had to be at times, and they're trying to create a threat of their own again here, as couldn't place it into the middle of the park for Baye, who was denied just a moment or two ago with a really good effort from the edge of the box. It did take a deflection, and then the keeper just got a touch to it to take it over the crossbar. Almost 51 minutes played, still no goals, but a few close things, couple for either side, as Scales gets it back out to the left for Baye, crossing the halfway line out to Dyson Maida, midway inside the Atalanta half. Then Hatate feeds it back looking for Maida, but Ederson was across there to get himself in between ball and man, and then just goes down with a bit of a nudge in the back from Maida, and it will be an Atalanta free kick. Again, it's quickly taken, or at least looked like it was, but Jim City decided not to take it again from the wrong position, and the referee says, no, you have to go back to the original position and take it again. So here we go, and it's back with Karnaseki now, out to the left-hand side for De Roon. Atalanta being frustrated so far by a well-organised, well-disciplined Celtic side who have been dangerous in their own right at times as well. It's been much more like the template you imagine that Brendan Rodgers wants to create for his side away from home in Europe against a very impressive and dangerous team, but they've been limited to just a few looks at the Celtic goal. Will probably feel like at least one of those chances should have been converted, but nonetheless credit to Celtic as De Roon comes to the left-hand side to now Zappacosta, feeding it forward for Lookman. Lookman almost at the byline, gets into the 6-yard box, comes off Scales. Not sure he knew too much about that one, as then Trusty helps it away as well, and now Aramida will give chase. He's up against Hien, who continues to look impressive at the back. The Swedish international just guides it back to his goalkeeper, who immediately gets it out to Jim City over on the far side. Ederson trying to spin away from Hatate. Now it's back with Hien, and out to the left-hand side for Kolasinac. Back infield for De Roon, who arrows the ball out to the right-hand side for Belanova. Belanova plays it forward again for Palasic. on the right-hand side. Belanova once more into the angle of the box. It's Jim City threading it in for Pasalic across goals. Another good clearance, this time from Morstan Trusty to get out of the penalty area. Atalanta come again. Belanova just rolls it back the way for Ederson, midway inside the Celtic half, into Retegi. Retegi gets turned, but he's well off target as Callum McGregor showed him away from goal. He spins and knocks it well over the crossbar. And after 53 minutes, it's Atalanta 0, Celtic 0.
Yeah, it's Pasalic again with that run. And, you know, just praise Liam Scales for defending. Trusty with a very similar type of defending. Okay, it's on his stronger left foot, but he does well to get in the right position and clear it again. But it's that run, those runs that Pasalic is making, causing Celtic all kinds of problems.
Yeah, he has been very dangerous. Atalanta, I think, are preparing a couple of changes. As Paki suggested, we'll look to maybe get 10 minutes into the second half, and if things haven't changed, then it's time for a change of personnel, as they have done most of the attacking, but Celtic have absorbed the pressure pretty well so far. It's Kolasinac playing it down the left-hand side, comes off a Celtic player and out for a throw-in on this near side. 54 on the clock as Zappacosta comes forward to take the throw-in, left-hand side, about 25 yards, I think, from what I can see of that part of the pitch. Back it goes to Biron, into central area to Ederson, out to the right-hand side now for Jim City, midway inside the Celtic half, plays it into Retegi, who tries to get turned. Scales is sticking with him. Who did that come off last? The referee points in the direction of the corner flag. Celtic claiming it should have been a goal kick, and got some sympathy with them, but from this distance, difficult to tell. The referee says it's a corner.
Good defending again from Scales. He's pinned by Retegi. He can't go anywhere. I think he's looking for the pass to be blocked so it doesn't get into his feet, doesn't dive in, gives the corner away, but good defending.
Right hand side, Lookman sends it into the 6-yard box. Downward header is wide of goal, and Celtic survive again. 10 minutes of this second period have gone, and it's still Atalanta 0, Celtic 0 as the home side prepare a couple of changes.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what changes he makes, because they've still had the control.
It was Hien getting on the end of that corner kick just a moment ago, but Kasper Schmeichel never troubled. Here comes Celtic at the other end. Right hand side is Kuhn trying to take on Kolasinac, who just rolls it behind for a corner kick, not taking any chances there as Nicholas Kuhn threatened down the right hand side, and across will come Arne Engels to the corner flag, just down below the, well, a couple of thousand maybe Celtic fans who are in that corner there, and enjoying what they're seeing so far, in the sense that their side are very much in this contest at 0-0, as Engels tries to improve things even further for the visitors. The young Belgian who's delivers all the set pieces despite having only recently joined the club. Engels, right-footed, got a great corner, and it's easily dealt with by Ederson, and then forward will come Lookman to try and start the counter-attack. He's well held up initially by Kuhn, but still has it. Lookman fires it forward into the feet now of Belanova, out to the right-hand side as Jim City and Atalanta come forward. It's Palasic out to the right once more to Belanova, about 15 yards from the goal line and the corner flag, and Hatate just sticks in the boot and knocks it out of play on the far side. Still Atalanta wait. Their wily and experienced manager Gianpiero Gasperoni waiting to make these changes. The man has been in charge since 2016 and is overseen by far and away the best period in the club's long history, well over 100 years, but this last 10 years or thereabouts has by far and away been their most fruitful, and culminating in that Europa League win in Dublin at the end of last season. Here's Zappacosta into the feet of Lookman, just tries to help it on there for Deron. Deron's won it back, pushed away by Schmeichel away to his left-hand side. Thought a free kick might have been coming there, but Schmeichel had to make the save as the referee's whistle stayed silent. Deron just nudging one of the Celtic players off the ball there, but it was done fairly, reckoned the official, as here's Belanova from the right-hand side, back into the 6-yard box. Glanced away by Trusty. Zappacosta picks up, but he's dispossessed by Kuhn. And then Kuhn knocks it out of play, and now we will get those changes. And it's Belanova is one of the players who's going to be replaced. And on for him will come Lazar Samardzic, one of the really up-and-coming, exciting young players at the club. And is it Retegi who's also going to be withdrawn? As on comes Charles de Ketelaere. Retegi still hasn't scored in Europe for all his goal-scoring exploits since joining in Serie A. A frustrating evening for him as de Ketelaere comes on, as well as Samardzic, and two highly talented young players in a strong squad, and just a different threat now for Celtic to deal with as again Atalanta come forward. It's Hien who has it about 10 yards inside Celtic territory. Now it's Ederson out to the right hand side, and just coming to terms with where those two Atalanta substitutes have come on. But here's one of them, Samardzic, from the edge of the area, trying to find room for the shot. Instead he goes back out to the right. It's played back into a dangerous area. Again, Celtic defend their 6-yard box really well. Zappacosta linking with Pasalic, and now it's Lookman, left-hand side of the box. Challenged initially pretty well by Kuhn. He does get through that challenge eventually, but Johnston was there to help him out as Atalanta try and find a way through this well-organised Celtic backline that's very much the boot on the other foot from what Celtic are used to in domestic football. It's usually them that are pressing, looking for the opening, but now they are having to hold firm at the edge of their own penalty area as Kuhn does really well, steps away from a sliding challenge there from Kolasinac, and out of play. Good play again from Kuhn, just getting his side up the park. We've played almost an hour here in Bergamo, and James McFadden, Celtic having to work very hard continually, but nonetheless still 0-0.
Yeah, I said that before the game. Whatever Celtic get out of this game, they'll have to work really hard for it, and that has been the case. Defensively, when balls have come into the box, Trusty and Scales have been excellent, getting the first contact, getting clearances away. Atalanta have posed real problems and made the changes. De Ketelaere will come on and play more wide than certainly what Retegi would have.
Again, just getting that back to his goalkeeper with Maida breathing down his neck there. An hour played in the north of Italy, and Atalanta, the Europa League winners of last season, being held by the Scottish champions as they're an offside flag there up against Zappacosta, much to his annoyance, and Celtic will have a free kick just about a yard inside their half. And Brendan Rodgers continuing to patrol his technical area, but he'll be so much more pleased by the way his side have executed the game plan this time around, as opposed to Dortmund. You would have to say, I mean, Fadi, you were at that Dortmund game as well as being here, obviously. In terms of trying to gauge the levels of the two opponents, is it fair to say that Atalanta are just a bit below Dortmund's levels?
Well, in terms of how Dortmund played the game, they've obviously got their own style and they're causing problems. They'll continue to work the ball wide and look for overloads for those cross balls, runners from midfield. Dortmund were different in how they controlled it. Their speed in the attack was ridiculous at times.
Here's Lookman trying to stab it towards goal, but again he's closed down in time, and Celtic get it clear. 61.5 on the clock, 0-0 in the Stadio de Bergamo, as Zappacosta, who's been maybe slightly less influential in this second period, but Atalanta win it back in a dangerous area. De Roon trying to play it into the area, again it's blocked away as Kolasinac picks up, and his manager's roaring instructions at him from well outside his technical area. UEFA officials down there generally get on the manager's cases if they're so far outside the technical area, but he seems to be getting away with it for the moment as the offside flag goes up on the far side. And the home fans, you feel, you sense roundabout as Fadi, just getting a little bit frustrated, as are the players.
Yeah, because, you know, you asked the difference. Dortmund played, you know, through the middle, the wide men come inside and wanted to go and get straight at the Celtic backline, which they did to great effect. Atalanta are almost playing around Celtic. They go from side to side, they're looking to get cross balls. Very rarely they play in that killer pass that cuts the defence open.
There's Palasic, played it forward, and that comes to nothing. And then Palasic battling away there to win it from Callum McGregor, who's not going to give it up though. McGregor's done. Oh, it's a free kick against Callum McGregor. How on earth has that been given as a free kick, Paddy?
I've no idea. It's great play from McGregor. It looks like he's going to get out muscle, but he doesn't. Gets a nick on the ball. It's not a foul for me.
No. Anyway, Atalanta have taken an angle of the box on the right-hand side. It's fired in, and it's all the way through to Kasper Schmeichel. Atalanta couldn't get a touch to it as it came into the 6-yard box. And the big Dane hasn't really had too much to deal with in this second period. Certainly 63 minutes played, and it remains goalless between Atalanta and Celtic. But Celtic having to do plenty of defending as De Ketelaere works hard to get the ball to Pasalic, central area, about 25 yards from goal. Now it's Lookman just opening up a bit of space out to the left-hand side now for Zappacosta. He waits for support. It arrives in the shape of Kolasinac, back with Zappacosta, about 10 yards from the goal line, back with Kolasinac, and then back once more with Zappacosta, who'll tease it into the back post. It's a poor ball this time from him, and an easy take for Kasper Schmeichel, as I think Celtic are potentially going to bring Kyogo on. I saw him warming up just a moment ago, and Adam Ida hasn't really been able to influence the game. You mentioned him early on, Fadi. Celtic were playing through him quite a lot, but as the game's worn on, he's been less and less evident. Celtic coming forward down the left-hand side. Kyogo certainly for the last 25-26 minutes would be a very good option.
Yeah, it's a different proposition. You know, he does playing in front of the defenders. Of course, we know he's got that ability to run in behind.
There's a ball looking for Maida, but it's well read and well intercepted in the end by Jim City, who might not have fancied himself necessarily in a foot race with Maida, but he just did enough to get there in front of the Japanese winger and clears the danger as Trusty picks up just inside his own half and goes back the way to Kasper Schmeichel. Kasper Schmeichel's predecessor Joe Hart's here on television commentary duty tonight. He's turned his hand to the old media duties pretty adeptly as Ederson wins it in the middle of the park. I'm sure part of him wishes he was still out there playing, as Paulo Bernardo's also going to come on. But here's De Ketelaere on the edge of the area looking at Samardzic out to the right hand side. The shot comes in near post, blocked by Scales once again. Celtic standing firm, comes back into the area, and again Scales gets it clear. He's been absolutely terrific once again tonight for Celtic, but still about 25 minutes they have to hold out. It is a lot to ask. We didn't expect it to be goalless even this long. The likelihood of it remaining goalless for the 90 is even slimmer, but you never know as Atalanta come forward once more. It's back with the Samardzic at the edge of the box, just turns onto the right foot, then plays it to Jim City, tries to get it across goal and behind off a Celtic boot. I think it was Alex Baye who got the final touch. It will be an Atalanta corner, so the Celtic changes, which are going to be Kyogo and Paulo Bernardo. They'll just wait until after this corner comes in, and it is De Ketelaere, I think, across on that far side now, preparing to take this corner kick. Near post ball, it's well dealt with by McGregor. Goes all the way back out to that right hand side. Hatate trying to get there, but it's picked up by the substitute Samardzic. Now into De Ketelaere, turns away and fires it in near post, but again Schmeichel gets down, smothers the danger, keeps the ball close into his chest. 66.5 minutes played. Atalanta 0, Celtic 0.
That's great play from De Ketelaere. The ball's coming into him. He's got his back to goal. He looks like he's going to just let it run across his body, get out his feet and get his shot away with the left foot. Fakes it, rolls it round Adam Ida. It's a tame effort, comfortable for Schmeichel, but it's good play from De Ketelaere.
Ida not quite able to keep it in down at the corner flag just below us, and that will give Celtic the opportunity to make the changes, and you would suspect strongly that Adam Ida will be the player to make way, and that is confirmed by the fourth official. And also coming off, Real Hatate to be replaced by Paulo Bernardo in the midfield. Is that when you saw Bernardo preparing to come on, James, is that the one you expected in there?
Yeah, it's usually the case. It's a big task, you know. Kyogo, we know what he does. He's elusive. He tries to get away from defenders, and it gives him a different problem. You know, Hien has looked really impressive against Ida, whether it's been strength, pace, reading of the game. A different proposition is huge for Bernardo, though, because they put so much into, you know, the game, the midfield. He has to get up to speed as quick as he can, but he's a good player, we know that.
Yeah, Atalanta get it up towards the halfway line as De Ketelaere tries to hold it in. Celtic though won it back, and here's Kyogo, first touch, trying to get away from Hien, who outmuscles him, and then gets it back to his goalkeeper Karnaseki, who launches it over the halfway line for Karnaseki to go and tussle with Scales, and then across comes Trusty to help out his defensive partner and force it down the left-hand side, helped on by Bernardo, and now it's Maida left-hand side up towards the area. Kyogo looks offside as the ball comes into him, spins, and then it's knocked away by Karnaseki. Now the offside flag goes up, which I think is a correct one against Kyogo. We're almost right in line with that, James, but Kyogo getting in on the act pretty early on.
Yeah, and Bernardo, it's him that wins it and flicks it in behind for Maida. And it's a good cross, exactly where Kyogo wants it, flashes it across with the left foot. Assistant referee looks straight along the line, gives the offside, but you know, it's showing something a little bit different.
Well, here's a bit of a surprise in that Ademola Lookman has been replaced. It's Juan Cuadrado, the Colombian veteran, who's coming on to replace him. But Celtic can be pretty chuffed with themselves that they've seen of both Retegui and Lookman in this game, and Gasparoni has turned to, well, now the very experienced Juan Cuadrado to try and change things here for his side. 69 played, and still we await the opening goal of the game, and Arsenal came here and got the goalless draw. Retegui missed a penalty actually in that game. They haven't managed to get on the score sheet this evening either, as Hien plays it out to the right hand side, almost selling Jim City slightly short there. Back with Hien once more just inside his own half as the home fans try and rouse their side here. It's coming forward down the left hand side. Kolasinac can't find a teammate though, and McGregor picks up, goes back the way to Scales. 20 to play. Atalanta 0, Celtic 0, as Trusty has it at the back for Celtic. He's probably had his best game, you could argue, in Celtic colours, as Kyogo tries a little ball round the corner. Engels will go and chase that, but in slides Kolasinac to guide it back to his goalkeeper. And as good as Trusty and Scales have been, James, with 20 minutes still at play, they'll know that they have to stay fully concentrated, fully alert.
Absolutely, they've been outstanding, but they know that they're going to keep coming. The crosses are going to keep coming, they're going to have to defend them. Two strikers they have been playing against have gone off. Different proposition now. But that's the same for everybody in the Celtic team. Remain concentrated. I think if it stays like this, a 0-0 draws a brilliant result for Celtic.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, we don't want to start jinxing them just at this stage, as Engels tries to find a forward ball for Kuhn, but in steps Kolasinac, who gets it back from his captain Martin de Roon, and then plays it forward down the left hand side for Zappacosta into De Ketelaere. Zappacosta continues his run, fires it into the 6-yard box, it's knocked away well there by Bailly. Good defending from that young man as well, and forward comes Paulo Bernardo up to the halfway line, feigns to play the pass and then just waits for support to arrive in the shape of Bailly. Just over the halfway line he comes. Now McGregor, as Atalanta get bodies back, and Celtic just content themselves with keeping the ball. Back it goes to Scales, now it's Engels. Scales once more out to the left hand side to Bailly. Bailly just inside Atalanta territory. Cross goes Ederson to close him down. Maida makes the run, but Ederson's pinched it from Bailly, and Atalanta will come forward again. And it's Pasalic out to the right hand side now for one of the substitutes, Samardzic. Right hand side now is Cuadrado, tries to chip it into the area. It's easily dealt with though by the Celtic defence, and just hacked away in the end by Bernardo, and it will come to Jim City. Now Ederson back to Hien, who immediately helps it onto De Roon and out to the left hand side. Atalanta trying to move it from side to side, keep this Celtic team guessing at the back, as it's picked up by Kolasinac at the edge of the penalty area. Now it's De Ketelaere, left hand side of the box, trying to find room, challenged by Kuhn, but it comes back now for Zappacosta. Zappacosta will go for it at the near post, but it's into the side netting really, as Schmeichel came across to his right near post, and always had it covered, but Zappacosta a couple of yards off target. And with 72.5 now on the clock, it's still Atalanta 0, Celtic 0.
Yeah, and it maybe show a bit of frustration for Atalanta that Zappacosta's coming in and taking that shot on. You're used to seeing him crossing the ball into the dangerous area. He's going for the shot on that occasion.
Callum McGregor picks up on a loose ball and immediately finds Kyogo midway inside the Atalanta half. Now attacking Cuadrado. Cuadrado keeps his eye on the ball though, and Kyogo slips at an inopportune moment, and Atalanta able to come forward. I think Cuadrado was caught off the ball there, and I'm not sure the referee spotted that, and it's just out for a throw into Celtic. The Atalanta fans are furious as Celtic plan another change or two. Luke McCowan and Luis Palma, who's not been spotted in a Celtic jersey very often of late, but the two of those players are going to come on as Celtic prepare to take the throw-in, but not before these changes are made. So another just little freshening up of things from Brendan Rodgers as Dyson Maeda makes his way off. He'll just take the quickest route off the park behind the goal, and on will come Luis Palma to replace him, and Engels is the other player to be replaced by Luke McCowan, whose dream move continues to just get better and better, playing the Champions League now, having started the season at Dundee, and with about 16 minutes to try and make an impression on this game, as Engels slowly trots off to be replaced by Luke McCowan. Just over a quarter of an hour, Paddy. Can Celtic do this?
Yeah, I think they can. I think that, you know, they've managed to defend very well, and certainly the substitutions would suggest that Brendan Rodgers feels he can do it. Luis Palma is a strange one for me because he's been nowhere near it. And you look at, you know, how Celtic have had the success. It's the pace and direct running. It's not really his game, but coming inside, getting shots, crosses, maybe he just feels that, you know, this is the time for Palma.
Here is Palma out on the left-hand side, challenged by Cuadrado. It's come back off Palma, according to the assistant referee, and it will be a throw-in to Atalanta, deep in their own territory, away on the right-hand side, as the Colombian prepares to take the throw-in himself. He's playing that right wing-back, effectively, where Bellanova started the game. Now it's back with Karnaseki, wants options. Kolasinac is the one he chooses, steps away from Cooney, took a chance there. The Bosnian centre-back gets away with it as McCowan pressurises Zappacosta, who has to go back to Karnaseki in goal, and then the Italian number one just sends it long onto the head of Trusty, though. Trusty only finds Ederson just inside his own half, plays it to the right-hand side now. James City out to Cuadrado. Cuadrado now just nudges it back to Ederson, just inside Celtic territory, out to the left-hand side. Doesn't look like a great ball. Johnston reads it and nods it clear. Kuhn tries to help it over De Roon, gets a second bite at it as it comes back to him, and now he finds McCowan. McCowan just inside the Atalanta half, tries to get it out to the right to Palma, intercepted by Cuadrado, and then Ederson steps in. The Celtic have it back through Baye, but forward charges Samardzic. Couldn't just find a way through there as the ball almost broke kindly for him, but Trusty picks up, and now with 14 to play, still 0-0, and Callum McGregor has possession for Celtic. Celtic have lost 8 of the last 9 away Champions League games. Their only draw in that period was against Shakhtar a couple of seasons ago. They conceded 36 in that period, but none tonight. And here's Kyogo, tries to lift it over the goalkeeper, just onto the roof of the net. I'm not sure he was necessarily trying to do that when the ball came to him, but either way it almost worked out for him, but just momentarily Celtic with a glimpse of goal. 76, almost 77 on the clock. Atalanta 0, Celtic 0.
I think he's trying to go back across goal. It certainly means they had it first time. It's a great pick out from Alex Baye. Great run, as we're so used to seeing from Kyogo, just peeling off the back of Hien, and it's almost spectacular.
Offside flag up to frustrate Atalanta further. 13 minutes to play, and it's still goalless in Bergamo against the side who finished 4th in Serie A last season, point above Lewis Ferguson's Bologna, qualifying for the Champions League courtesy of winning the Europa League, as Bologna prepare to make another couple of changes as Matteo Ruggeri is going to come on there for the Bosnian. Kolasinac, and it's going to be Niccolò Zaniolo to replace Mario Pasalic, who Fadi, I suspect, will go off feeling he should have had at least one goal this evening.
Yeah, he'll be frustrated. He's getting great positions. Timing his run's been excellent. I mean, he's unlucky to see the one in the first half come crashing off the bar, but certainly he's been a threat. And yeah, he will be disappointed he hasn't been able to find the back of the net for his team.
It's a Celtic ball midway inside their own half, and the belief is growing, you feel, among the Celtic fans away to our right, really finding their voice and urging their team on, cajoling them towards what would be a terrific point away from home in the Champions League. A pretty rare one for them in this, regardless of whether it's the league or the group stages. A ball into the Atalanta box might come for Palma. Baye instead takes over. He's back into the 6-yard box, away by Hien. Helped on there by Samardzic, but picked up by McGregor. And now it's Trusty down the right-hand side. Kuhn just helps it on for Johnston. Johnston goes to ground. Is there a touch there from Ruggeri? Well, the assistant had a good look at that. And I tell you what, if the officials don't think that's a foul, then he must think that Alistair Johnston's thrown himself to the ground, because what other reason would there be?
Yeah,
and he's on a yellow card.
Exactly, and he knows. Listen, Alistair Johnston knows. He makes it on. He slows down a little bit, expecting the contact to come. I think it does come, and it's right in front of the assistant referee in this near side. But I get your point. If doesn't think there's contact, but listen, they might think there is contact, it's just not enough to give the foul.
Yeah, possibly. Here's Zappacosta coming forward down the left-hand side. Just over 10 minutes to play in Bergamo. Celtic holding Atalanta goalless just at the moment as Trusty comes across and cuts out the latest potential threat. Zappacosta taking the throw in quickly on the left-hand side. It's the Ketla into the box. It comes away by Baye, high up in the air, only as far as the edge of the penalty area, kept alive there by Samardzic. And then as a foul comes Celtic's way, as Callum McGregor is caught as James Forrest is about to enter the fray for Celtic. As we see Gianpiero Gasparoni down at the edge of his technical area. He's growing more and more annoyed with his side's inability to find the opening goal, as Kuhn will be replaced by James Forrest for the closing 10 minutes. And Kuhn getting a big high five from his manager there. But Celtic's a man, they've worked ever so hard, James, and you just hope that they can get the reward in the shape of a point come full time.
Yeah, they've had to do something they're not used to doing, and that is be, under quite a lot of pressure from cross balls, and they've defended it brilliantly. And this is a place where to get anything, whether you win, lose or draw here, you're going to have to work hard because of the way that Atalanta play, the pressure they keep you under. And so far it's been so good for Celtic, but still a long way to go, and that concentration, that fitness level, it needs to maintain for them.
There's a stoppage here. There's a couple of players, a player from either side down. There's a head knock, I think, in the middle of the park. It's De Ketelaere and also Austin Trusty, who's taking a blow. And the physios from both sides are on. James Forrest, incidentally, on for his 115th European appearance for Celtic, having made his 500th appearance overall earlier in this season. Continues to be an important part of the Celtic squad. Austin Trusty pleading with the referee that he doesn't need to go off, but he is being ushered off by the Bosnian referee, as is De Ketelaere just for the moment. So both sides down to 10 men just for the moment. 8 minutes to play plus stoppage time. It's still Atalanta 0, Celtic 0, and I mean, Kasper Schmeichel's made a couple of good saves, not spectacular but decent saves. But you would have imagined, I think, when we came to the stadium today, James, I think we were expecting them to have more to deal with.
Yeah, and that's no small part to his two centre-backs in front of him, because the defending they've had to do it with the cross balls. Like there's been times where you're looking and saying Pasalic in particular could have got a better finish, but he'd one really good save in the first half, down to his feet, it was straight at him, but he still had to adjust. In the second half, he's not had anywhere you would think, oh, that he had to be his best there. He's not really, him personally, been put under a great deal of pressure. As I said, I think that's due to the fact that Scales and Trusty have just defended that 6-yard box unbelievably tonight.
Celtic throw in about 20 yards from their own corner flag, left hand side. Bailly gets it back and just smashes it up the field. One for Kyogo to chase. He ends there ahead of him. He's been immaculate at the back, you'd have to say. Big Swedish defender in the middle of the three. I don't think he's lost a duel all night as Kyogo plays the ball behind Forrest, and that allows Ruggeri to pick up and just roll it back to Zappacosta. Left hand side, Ruggeri playing just momentarily as the wing back instead of Zappacosta. Back goes Callum McGregor, working as hard as ever to intercept and then knock it back to Kasper Schmeichel, who clears up first time to the halfway line. Brought under control by Zappacosta, and now to the right hand side it's Cuadrado, midway inside the Celtic half, up against Palma here, who just sticks out a leg and doesn't really get anywhere near him. Back with Ederson, but 25 yards from goal. Cuadrado once more, and then outside of him is Jim City, just plays it back once more to the angle of the box for Cuadrado. Jim City once again, closed down by Palma, back to Ederson. Atalanta looking for this opening goal, but Austin Trusty gets his head to the ball at the edge of the penalty area and gets it clear as far as De Roon. Can Celtic hold out here? 5.5 to play plus stoppage time. It's Zappacosta, left hand side. Now Ruggeri plays it off Johnston, who manages to just knock it clear up to the halfway line. No Celtic players up in that area of the pitch right now. Kyogo trying to get closer, but really Celtic just trying to stay in their shape. They're not too bothered about chasing these loose balls, lost causes up the field. They just want to stay compact, and you could almost throw a beach towel over their 10 outfield players just at the moment. They're so compact. Here's Cuadrado at the angle of the box on the right hand side. Into the area it comes from Samardzic, but it's a poor ball from him, and he holds his head in his hands and it goes behind for a goal kick. And with just under 5 to play, it's still at Atalanta 0, Celtic 0.
Yeah, I mean, still time left, but I think since the subs have been made from Gasperini, it's almost knocked the rhythm out of Atalanta as well, because it was the theme of the first half was getting away, getting crosses into the box and getting runners and getting contact and making Celtic defend. There's not been so much of that in the second half, particularly since Retegui and Lookman have gone off. Pasalic another one. But I mean, Brendan Rodgers won't be complaining. He's made subs that have come in and helped him, and Celtic probably had to make them to freshen it up. I'm not so sure Atalanta had to make the subs when they did, and certainly not the personnel they've made it with.
McCowan knocks the ball out on the far side, and it's an Atalanta throw-in, which is quickly taken. They are the side who are desperate to get things moving quickly as they search for a winning goal, as it would probably be at this stage. They are facing their second goalless draw at home in the competition, having fought that out with Arsenal on the opening day. But it's time yet for both sides, of course, as Ruggeri tries to come down the left-hand side, comes off Johnston and out for a throw-in, which is quickly taken. Back to De Roon, the captain, back to the left-hand side to Ruggeri, tries to get the cross in, it comes off Forrest, behind for a corner. Did it come off Johnston? Johnston's writhing about just inside the penalty area. I thought it came off Forrest, but maybe it hit him. It was Forrest, but Johnston's down and he's getting his right leg stretched off, perhaps a bit of cramp, but it's understandable given the amount of work that every Celtic player has put into it. But it will be a corner. Johnston back on his feet, doesn't want to be forced off, and put his team down to 10 momentarily. So 3 minutes to play. Corner kick from the left hand side, well dealt with by Callum McGregor at the near post, but it'll come back out to the left for Samardzic, and now De Ketelaere. Two of the changes that James is talking about is Trusty's done brilliantly to win that back. Good physical strength. The Atalanta fans, as you might be able to hear in the background, feeling it was actually a foul, but the referee thought otherwise. Forward comes Hien now for Atalanta, and he's well challenged out on that far side. It comes back off him, and the home fans are in uproar again. They thought it was their ball. Johnson's down again, and pretty sure Celtic have used all their substitutes, so I really hope that Alistair Johnson can get himself back up and ready to play. But listen to the feelings of the home fans who think Alistair Johnson and Celtic are at it.
No, I think that he was getting his legs stretched off, potentially for cramp. You just hope that it's not anything worse than that, because the effort they've put in tonight would be very difficult to sustain with 10 men. I know that you're still probably talking at maybe 5 added on, or at least with the amount of subs that's happened in this second half, but it'd be a huge blow to the team for Alistair Johnson if he was to go off, just purely because you don't want to be a man down against a team like Atalanta.
No, absolutely not for any length of time. Johnston not needing the stretcher that was brought on. He is managing to walk off, or he's just trying to take on one of these gels that just give a little boost of energy for the final few minutes. If that's what he needs, then so be it. As Celtic have the throw, and it's taken back to Scales, now back with Schmeichel, as Johnston waits to come back on, as Hien gets his head to the ball on the halfway line, picked up here by Samardzic, about 35 yards from goal, out to the left hand side for Zappacosta. Alistair Johnson still not been allowed back on the field to play. Still Celtic are down to 10 then, as Atalanta build on the left hand side where Johnston is absent, and it comes now to the penalty area, knocked away by Baye, who's also been terrific at the back. I mean, just about every Celtic player you could say that about, but Baye, the young man, has done himself proud, and the ball's actually been knocked out by Atalanta over on the far side, and Celtic have got a throw in more or less on the halfway line as we approach the 90-minute mark, and all eyes on the Bosnian fourth official as he holds the board ready to show exactly how much will be added on. Well, it was 10 minutes were shown at Celtic Park on Saturday. Pretty unusual for the Premiership. Let's see what it is tonight. Only 4. That's a little bit of a surprise to me, and I think the home fans were definitely hoping for more and probably expecting more as well. So Celtic have got 4 minutes now to hold out. Can they do it? Scales under pressure here from Zaniolo. Zaniolo nicks it off him, but then he goes down. Was he dragged to the ground? Yes, he was. There's an opportunity here from 25 yards for Atalanta to try and find the winning goal, as Zaniolo was just maybe pulled to the ground there by Scales, trying to retrieve. Oh yeah, he's got a big hold of the jersey there, and a free kick in a good position right of centre. But Atalanta running out of time to find the winner.
Yeah, he was in trouble there, Scales, because he misjudged the bounce of the ball. Zaniolo, big strong guy, keeping that pressure on, winning it back, and as you say, pulls him back. This is a decent distance to be having a shot from, but they'd won similar in the first half where it looked like they were potentially going for the shot, and they still played that little cross, narrow cross to the back post. I would expect someone to take a shot on from here. It's a good distance to take the shot from. Having said that, you've got Scales, Trusty, Bernardo on the wall. You look at the back post area, it's Palmer, Johnston and McGregor. It's a 4v3. It's a great opportunity as well for Atalanta if they want to just clip that to the back post.
Yeah, it's Deron or Samardzic over this free kick. Samardzic with the left foot might fancy it up and over the wall. It is Samardzic who strikes it into the wall, comes back to him. Can he create something now? Is he taken down again? The referee, yeah, he's blown again. It was a foul almost in an identical position, just very slightly more central, and Atalanta, having wasted that opportunity, will have an almost identical one.
Yeah, either Samardzic gets up because he's got his little sighter in, or someone else comes over and says you're not getting it. It's Trusty, it comes off Bernardo. Trusty reacts to try and win it. He's just too eager. Maybe they'll look at this clip to the back post now. Still get the overload.
Samardzic and Deron over it once more. The Celtic wall lined up along the 18-yard box, so the free kick exactly 28 yards from goal. Can Celtic hold firm? It is stood up into the penalty area, away by Scales, only as far as Ruggeri, who gets a hold of the shot, comes off. Hien, it's helped back into the box from the left-hand side to the back post. Comes to Cuadrado. Can he get it to a teammate? It's back to Samardzic. Back into the penalty area. Away this time by Bernardo. Ruggeri once more. Left-hand side. Clips it into a good area, but it's over the top. The header from Hien. Well, he's been terrific all night, but he couldn't be the hero at the end there. We've played almost 3 minutes of the 4 to be added on, and it's still Atalanta 0, Celtic 0.
Yeah, from the free kick, no surprise that they go to the little clip to the back post, but it's Liam Scales that recognises that, takes himself out of the ball, gets himself into a position to go and head it clear. Atalanta, again, another cross into the box. He ends in, it's in the middle of the goal. He'll be disappointed he hasn't been able to keep it down and test Kasper Schmeichel. Huge few minutes coming up for Celtic.
Free kick to Atalanta over on the far side, just inside their own half. It's quickly taken. They've not got long left now, as Atalanta have it on the halfway line through De Roon. Out to the left-hand side to Ruggeri, closed down by Forrest. He steps inside him and switches play out to Cuadrado on the other side. Right flank now, Cuadrado about 10 yards from the goal line, coming in field. Knocks it back the way to Jim City. Who did that come off last? It was a Celtic player. It will be another corner, but we're into last chance territory almost. But 15 seconds of the 4 minutes that were initially added on are remaining. There might be a little bit more beyond that, but the corner kick from the right-hand side for Atalanta. It would be cruel if Celtic were to lose it now. They've done it often enough to other teams themselves, but they want to massively avoid a late concession here as Kyogo meets it at the near post well. Still Celtic haven't quite got it clear, but it's helped on by McCowan. And there is the final whistle. Brilliant result for Celtic, holding Atalanta in Bergamo, last season's Europa League winners. But Celtic have stood firm. What a defensive performance from back to front. Celtic were absolutely superb. Kasper Schmeichel, when called upon, the back four were absolutely terrific, but every single Celtic player out there, substitutes included, put everything into this performance. And from the 7-1 defeat out in Dortmund, Celtic have pulled it out the bag in Bergamo to frustrate the Europa League winners and hold them to their second home goalless draw in the competition. It is the first time in the Champions League in Italy that Celtic have avoided defeat, and they have ended a really poor run of away performances in the Champions League. It's their first point on the board since they drew away to Shakhtar a couple of seasons ago. Atalanta had their opportunities. They hit the bar in the first half through Pasalic, but they could not find a way past Kasper Schmeichel. It is a vastly improved performance from Celtic, and the fans away to our right rejoice there because they have been rewarded for making this trip, for their faith and the money they spend following their side. They are thoroughly enjoying their evening here in the north of Italy as they celebrate a hard-earned point in Bergamo. It finishes Atalanta 0, Celtic 0.